Good morning, good morning, good morning. How's everyone doing? I am exhausted today. Oof. I hope you guys aren't feeling exhausted. Let's see who's out there. Leanna, good morning. How are you this morning, Leanna? Oh, you're in the board. I see you. I can say hi to you on the board. Nice. And Sarah. All right, so we have to make sure that the board is working. I don't know. What should I write? I have it. All right, so the word of the day is now up on the board. I'm inspired because I'm just looking outside. So if you can just type away, see, or write what you see, I greatly appreciate it. Is the board working? That's the question. It is cloudy, Sarah. Yeah, it's one of those days, and it's going to be hot too. I think it's going to be like 80 degrees. That's what they're saying. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. So AP exams are coming, or they're ongoing, I should say. Um, Let me see. I did receive word from the college about what's going to happen with exams. All right. So your exam. So this is. I'm going to post this here. Hold on. All right. Hold on 1 second. So I'm going to go to the exam section right now, the final exam, and I'm going to post some information from the college. All right. So I posted information related to the exam in the final exam materials section. Let me see if I can make a general announcement somewhere in there. All right, so I posted information to the final exam review sheet. I'm going to post some information on the wall also. This is direct from LaGuardia College. So now if you look to the wall, I'm going to read what's there, or in our stream. The exam will be 15 questions, 10 of which are multi-part short answers and 5 are show work problems. For the show work problems, students will be asked to type their work in a text box or upload their work. The text box looks like the same text box the students see when they message you through Lumen. You can ask them to practice by typing math or sending a document through Lumen messages. All right, so we're going to have to do something like that. So any questions so far related to that? Okay, let's see if there's any questions out there. Okay. All right, so no questions so far, but I'm hoping that you did see the message. So again, it's going to be 15 questions, 10 multiple choice, 5 short answer. I think that's a little bit easier than what's been done in the past. In the past, it was just all short answer. So they're trying to make accommodations to this. We do have the final review sheet. That's going to be due. I'm going to give some homework from that today, and it's also going to be part of your classwork for Monday to continue working on that review sheet because we're almost done with all of the items. I want to finish this by, let's see, I don't have a date. Oh, the date of the final exam. So they're giving that as June, the first week of June. So we cannot end early, but I think we're going to have plenty of time to review. So again, your exam is going to be in the following format: 10 multiple choice, 5 short answer. It will be the first week of June. I would imagine it's going to be, when prom was supposed to be that week, probably that Tuesday. But again, it's just basically when they drop the exam. I cannot talk right now. Excuse me 1 second. You have to study for an AP push or A push test at 2. Good morning. Okay. All right, so I understand that there's AP exams going on. I'm flexible with the attendance related to that. If you can just check in, and then we can move on from there. So again, exam is going to be on Lumen Learning. So I'll probably start assigning some problems from there just so that we can get back into it and get familiar with the platform. I'm not sure about tonight, but I'll start setting up some things so that you can revisit that. So again, the exam will be on Lumen, 10 multiple choice, 5 short answer. I think first week of June, and then that's it. My goal is to finish the material by latest next Friday, so 1 week from today, and then we're just going to be reviewing. But I'll be assigning review questions from that review sheet, so we'll be prepared more and more. So is a multi-part short answer, what is this? So is a multi-part short answer multiple choice? I don't believe so. I think this is just legit short answer. Let me look back at what was shared. You can ask them the text. Let me see. For show work problems, students will be asked to type their work in a text box or upload their work. So I don't know what short answers are going to give you. I have no idea. You can take a picture of your work and upload it. That's one option. Or you can type in all of the work into Lumen Learning. I hope that answered it. So Josh asked, when is the final exam? Sometime in June. I'm going to edit this so we can see. Final exam will be in June, first week of June. Given during first week of June. Let me just double check that. I know a lot of logistical information. First week of June, yes. The tentative date, I'm going to say June 2nd. All right, so hopefully that answers your questions. Let's see if there's any other questions out there. But what is the difference between multi-part short answer and the show work short answer? So wait, hold on, let me look here. For the show work problems, so 10 of which are multi-part short answers and 5 are show work problems. See, that's a good question, Liana. So I don't know. This is basically what was given to me, and I am just copying and pasting. I have to follow up with the College Now department just to see what this means. To me, 10 of which are multi-part short answers. So Yeah, so this is news to me. I would imagine that you would just put in the answer to these 10 questions without having to show the work, and then the five are purely show work. So I'm mistaken. So I thought that this was multiple choice. So my mistake for that. So hopefully when people revisit or watch this, they watch deep into the video. So again, my mistake. I thought this was multiple choice. I told you I was tired this morning. I'm so sorry. But this is the only detail that I have at the moment. I have to follow up with the college. I'm just sharing what was given to me. So again, in years past, the exam would be completely short response. It seems, this is my interpretation, it seems that you're able in Lumen just to provide an answer, multi-part short answers, whatever that may be. You just, to me, that's just give a response based on the question. And then these other five are pure show work where you answer the question step by step on a separate sheet of paper and you upload it to Lumen Learning. Let's see, any other questions out there? Okay, we'll find out more. Yes, exactly. More to be determined. Alrighty, so let's continue. So we're looking now at solving right triangle problems. So again, this whole chapter is dealing with trigonometry, different instances or types of right triangles, whether they're found on a plane or a coordinate plane. So that's been our discussion, and we've been using or trying to find angles to either allow us to find side lengths and or the location of where this terminal side is on a coordinate plane. And then we're also looking for the value or the sign of these trigonometric functions. So what we're going to look at today are solving right triangle problems, something called significant digits, and angles of elevation and depression. So what memes, what did I throw in here? So let's look. Um, let's see if you can see it. It says he is too big. We need to perform a squared plus b squared, but the square root of that section. I hope you found that fun. The birth of a right triangle. Here's something that said, I killed a man. That's why this person's in jail. And the other one said, I told my teacher my favorite trig function was tangent. And that was frightening to this person in jail. And I hope you know who this guy is in the middle. Uh, I, I guess I could tell you if you don't know. Movies The Matrix. Guy's name is Neo. I hope you've seen it. If not, maybe that could be something you do this weekend. I don't really know if it's supposed to be sunny. I haven't really checked the weekend forecast. But if you have time, watch The Matrix. Watch the first one. Watch it in sequence. Because then this would be funnier. I know trigonometry. And maybe one day, if you do watch it, maybe that's how we will learn. So again, this is going to make sense if you have seen it. And if you haven't, you got to do that. Like now. Essential movie. Definitely an essential movie. All right, so the board is working. The word of the day was cloudy. And hopefully, it opens up and we can see some sun later. So, significant digits. A significant digit is a digit obtained by actual measurement. The significant digits in the following numbers are identified in color. So what do we have here? 408, 21 and a half, 18.00 or 0 hundredths, and so forth. Your answer is no more accurate than the least accurate number in your calculation. So let's look here. To determine the number of significant digits for answers in the applications of angle measure, use the following table. So significant digits here, we can look at degrees. Answer to number of significant digits, so here's 2. And we have an example here of significant digits, which are 3. That could be the nearest 10th, 4 nearest 100th, 5 nearest 1,000th, etc. So just basically elaborating how to express these values. So here, when we solve right triangles, we already know about the essential parts, legs, hypotenuse, how to label with respect to an angle. So this is really not foreign to us at this point. You have a calculator now. You have one, whether in a physical form or in a digital format. So hopefully you downloaded that. You have it free for 6 months. Kind of a no-brainer. If you haven't done so already, I believe the link was shared somewhere in our classroom wall. So please visit that. If you can't find it, just shoot me a message. All right, so let's go to the classwork for today. Let's see, solving right triangle. So what is the handout related to that? In learning materials, I think it's solving right triangle problems, angle of elevation and depression. So that is the handout. So take about 30 seconds to find that. So again, this is in the classwork section, top right. It says solving right triangle problems and angles of elevation / depression. So take a moment. So that noise that you hear is the coffee machine that's being, we're churning out a fresh cup. All right, so let's do this. So if we look at the first example, going back to my PowerPoint. All right, so let's see. We have this right triangle ABC, the measure of angle A. So it's all drawn for you, but I'll draw it on the board just so we have a clear picture. So here, I have to kind of zoom in. Just give me 1 second. There it is. This is A, this is B, and C. But the reason why we're looking now at the graphing calculator is because you could represent a value, or in this case, an angle in minutes. So if you have your calculator handy, you can find the button for minutes. I believe there's seconds there as well. So there's minutes and seconds. And there's also a way that we can convert angle measurements to degrees, minutes, and seconds, and it's actually right there. So if you look at the screenshot of where it says angle, so again, you get there by going to second apps, and then to access seconds, press alpha plus. So again, there's a few options here. So we have the minutes and seconds, but here to easily access seconds, you would hit alpha and then the plus sign. So they'll get you there as well. So make sure the calculator is set in degree mode. Very important. So if we look at the following here, we have the measure of angle A, which is 34 degrees and 30 minutes. And then we have here, what is it? C is about 12.7 inches. So let's look. So labeling, so here, if you don't like minutes, we can convert that. So what's 30 minutes as a fractional value? So let's see. Who out there can convert 34 degrees and 30 minutes? Someone please. Excuse me. All right, so we have it. I need it. 34 degrees and 30 minutes converted. We have it. Anyone out there? A little bit silent. So how do we convert that? Thank you, Brittany. So I will write that in. So if you don't want to work with minutes, you can convert that easily. All right, so we have 34.5 degrees, and we have to find the measure of B, the angle B, and side length B. So here's side length B. Here's the measure of angle B. I think you can find angle B quite easy. Quite easy. So if you haven't done so already, we just take the difference of 90 and 34.5. That'll give us the measure of angle B. I'll express this in degrees and minutes if you'd like. So this is the measure of angle B. So we have that. And now we have to find side length of B. So let's see. How can we do this? So we're told that the hypotenuse is 12.7. So again, with respect to this angle, if you have to find B, don't forget the arc always cuts into the adjacent side and the hypotenuse. So if we're looking at adjacent and hypotenuse, hopefully you saw that to be cosine. So the cosine of A, or in this case B, which is what you don't know, divided by 12.7, but we happen to know A, and that's 34.5 degrees. So don't forget that you have to be in degree mode when you do this. Please make sure that you are in degree mode. This is B divided by 12.7, so that when we simplify, we should have about 10.5 or 10.5 inches. So please make sure that you have that. All right, so that should have been pretty simple. So again, it's kind of revisiting what we were looking at before, minutes and the seconds. And then also, yeah, it's just, basic conversions. But then we also look now at using the calculator to actually convert, because that's something that you can do. So again, in the calculator, there's DMS. So I'm curious. So using this feature of DMS, so let's see. So open up your calculator just so that you can convert if you ever needed to. If you had a fractional degree, you should be able to convert that. So let me just open up my calculator, and you should test it out also. My computer's running a little bit slow right now. But this will convert degree, minute, second. Right. So I would experiment with that. Right, so let's see. I wish I could share this with you. Actually, I could do this. Oops. You probably heard that, so we're going to do this. So I just experimented here. Hold on. This is going to magically appear on your PowerPoint in a second. So I experimented with the following. Where's this PowerPoint? So if you ever have a fractional, here, let's see. So in other words, so if you ever have a fractional degree and you have to convert to degrees, minutes, or seconds, so I'm making this up, so I put in 34.564. Or we can say 5 significant digits, if you will. So if you hit DMS after this value, it will convert it into degrees, minutes, and seconds. So just so you know. So a little, tip, or if you just want to, just work a little bit quicker. So we already know about angle B. We found that quickly. There could have been another way to find it, but we're utilizing the knowledge that we have right now, and that knowledge was being given angle A, knowing that you had a right angle, you had a triangle, so we're able to figure out that A and B in this case were complementary, so you were able just to subtract from 90. So if we look here, so the next problem has the following. So we have this. I'm just drawing a triangle. We're told that we have 29 and 43 hundredths for a leg. We have 53 and 58 hundredths for the hypotenuse. And we have to find measure of angle B. So let's find the measure of angle B first. So if we do the following. So if we look here, this is where our angle is, the angle of interest, if you will. So we know that's going to be cosine, because don't forget that we can label opposite, then we get the hypotenuse and the adjacent side. So by default, we're forced to work with cosine. All right, do we have that? Why are we finding? Oh, all right, so look. So I'm going to use angle B. The example, though, when I give you the solution is a little bit more complicated than it needs to be. So we're going to work easy, and then we're going to look at how the solution that I'm going to show you differs. So if we have to find the cosine of an angle, we don't know the angle, but we know that we have the adjacent side and the hypotenuse. So what we're going to end up doing is the following. In order to find a missing angle, we have to take the inverse. So if you remember, so we need the inverse of this. Now you can think about it in theory like you're dividing cosine to both sides to get x by itself. That's kind of the rationale to a degree, but really, if we do the following, and we express this cosine function as an inverse, that's allowing us then to say the following. So the top says the cosine of some angle is going to give me this ratio. The inverse of cosine of some ratio is going to give me an angle. So we're just looking at it slightly different. So in the top case, I'm going to just separate the two that we're looking at here. So there's this green line here that's separating the two cases. Above, you don't pretend you're given the angle, excuse me. So the cosine of some angle is going to give you a ratio. Below this green line, you're basically told, okay, the inverse of cosine, that ratio, when I find the inverse of cosine, it's going to give me an angle. So that's basically what we're going to do when we're not given an angle. We're going to use the ratio, and then we're going to approximate an angle given a specific trig function. So in this case, we're working with cosine. Don't forget that you can access this by second cosine on the graphing calculator. You must make sure that you're in degree mode. Please make sure that you are in degree mode. So that when we evaluate this, we should have the following. And you also have to find side length B. So I'm going to give you a second to find side length B. I'm going to give you a second to find this angle. So I need you to start practicing this. I'm going to give you about 2 minutes to find the measure of angle B and the side length. Another minute. Let's see if there's any questions out there. Hold on. Can you go over how to do that one more time? Okay, sure. What did you want me to go over exactly, Leanne? I'm so sorry. I just saw that right now. So just please be specific, and I'll gladly go over that. So I'm just waiting on you now. Leanna, what was your question? The part with the calculator. Which part exactly? So which part with the calculator exactly? Leanna, what part with the calculator exactly? How to get DMS answer with the calculator. So you have to go here. Let me go back. Sorry. So here, when you go to second apps, then you're going to see this window appear where it says angle, and then you have these options. So what you would need to do is the following. You would need to type in an angle, let's say, that's fractional in nature, like 34 point whatever, or 50.2371, etc. So then what we would do then is, excuse me, if we would go into the calculator, you would type in that angle that's represented by many decimals, let's say. So if you're looking at your screen now, it says 34.564 as an example. Then you would go to second apps, find DMS, and then hit enter. And then when you do that, you'll have the conversion. Did that help? Okay, so moving along. So hopefully you found these values. So if we did cosine inverse of that ratio, 29.43 divided by 53.58, we'd have about 56 degrees. Now here, notice what they're doing. Here they're converting the answer to, or they're expressing it in minutes. So 56 degrees and 41 minutes. So if you have your fractional answer, you can go into DMS and you would find that value. No problem, Leanna. I'm glad I was able to clarify. And you had to also find side length b, so they're just representing the Pythagorean theorem slightly different. They're basically looking at one leg and squaring that, and that should equal to the difference of the hypotenuse squared minus the other leg squared. So hopefully you found it to be about 44 and 77 hundredths. So moving along. So we're going to use this knowledge of finding side lengths with trigonometry, finding angles with trigonometry, and what we have here is called the angles of elevation and depression. So it's something that we do on a consistent basis, but we probably don't think about it too much. Whether something catches our attention when we're looking up, or something catches our attention when it's on the floor. I feel like most of us now just look at a phone, right, when we walk. but then at the same time, I don't think many of us are walking outside. So, yeah, it's kind of different, but when you do get a chance to walk outside and you look around and you appreciate things around you, typically, like when I'm looking at things, like I'm looking at my backyard right now, and there's birds, squirrels, all this stuff that catch my attention, but I physically tilt my head so I can see these things. So that tilting is creating an angle. And depending on where you're looking, if you're looking up, you're elevating, let's say, or you're increasing the angle. But if you're looking down, kind of like when you're looking at your phone, that would be an angle of depression. And I think the example here puts it best. So I'm going to try to, let me see. I'm going to do this. Hold on. So this way, here, really? I only copied, I see. So hopefully that's a little bit clear. So if you notice, the control tower, the radar tower, looks at the plane. So that eye contact, if you will, when they're looking up at the plane, it's an angle of elevation. That same plane, when it's in the air, then looking down at the radar tower, that would be considered an angle of depression. But I want you to notice this, and if we go to the whiteboard, we basically have the following. Let me see if I can do this. I'm try to create a line. Nope. Let me see. A little bit hard to do. No, it's not letting me. Okay, no big deal. No big deal. So if you remember your parallel lines, if we have a transversal or the line that goes through parallel lines, let me do this more horizontally. So I'm moving. So here we have the purple lines. Let's pretend that they are parallel. Don't forget that's the symbol for parallel if you remember those arrowheads. I'll draw them again so you can see them a little bit clearer. Ooh. Yeah, so that's the symbol for parallel. But here in our red transversal, basically what's happening is this. So here's angle 1. That's the angle of the radar tower. Angle 2 is the angle from the plane. But when we think about their placement, they're really alternate interior angles. So if you have two horizontals, so in this case it would be a horizontal line of sight. In theory, you're always looking straight ahead. But if something catches your eyes, then you're either creating an angle of elevation or an angle of depression. But in this case, since they're two horizontal lines of sight and they're making eye contact with each other, the angle in which that's formed, whether it's an elevated angle or an angle of depression, they're the same. So be careful when interpreting the angle of depression. This is key here. Because both the angle of elevation and the angle of depression are measured between the line of sight and a horizontal line. So some of you may place the angle of depression in an incorrect way, or part of the triangle, I should say. So you have to be careful, and we'll look at an example that shows how to place the angle of elevation and depression. And I would recommend that you draw. So that you draw or that you sketch this. Okay, so we'll look at example 3. Just give me 1 second. I just want to refer to it from the notes. Let's see what or how this looks like. Okay. So let's look here. So here we're told that Caitlin, she knows that when she stands 123 feet from the base of a flagpole, the angle of elevation to the top of the flagpole is 26 degrees and 40 minutes. If her eyes are 5.3 feet, or is that 5.30 hundredths? Okay, let's say that. So 5.30 feet above the ground, find the height of the flagpole. So let's draw this scenario out. So that's number 1. So again, my drawings are terrible. So we have this person, here's Caitlin. Horrible, I know. But She's looking straight ahead, right? Minding her own business. And then there's this beautiful flagpole straight ahead. So this is the horizontal ground. So she's in awe of this flagpole. So what happens is that she directs her attention now to the peak of the flagpole, or the top. Here's the flag, very nice. And what happens is that we create an angle here. So that's going to be our angle of elevation because we're looking up. 26 degrees and 40 minutes. You can convert that if you don't like 40 minutes. And if anyone out there can tell me what that is, probably have to round. But we'll work with the minutes. So what are we looking for here? I find the height of the flagpole. So here, so since we're working with this, we're going to call this x. However, this length is already given to us here. We know how tall Caitlin is. And what, she's about 5.3 feet. So let's see here. Okay, good. This is 5.3. This is 5.3. So the flagpole height, is really x plus 5.3. Right, because it's the whole side here, which I'm going to exaggerate in green. This is the entire flagpole right here. So once we find x, so again, with respect to the angle, right, so here's our purple angle, we have the opposite. And what are we told? Oh, we're told that we're 123 feet away, right, from this flagpole. So given this, and this is the adjacent side, we're forced to use the tangent function. So the tangent of 26 degrees and 40 minutes, that's going to equal to x divided by 123. So if you put that into your calculator, x is going to be, I'm going to give this to you just because we're starting to run out of time, about 61.8. But that's just part of the flagpole, right? From the eyes to the top, let's say. But we have to take into consideration the remaining height. So in this case, the height of Caitlin, which is 5.3 feet. So when you add, so again, when you add those two together, then you'll have the complete height of the flagpole. So if we do the following, 61.8 plus 5.30, you'll have your final answer. Okay. So I quickly want to go over one clarifying thing with the angle of depression. So one clarifying thing here. So if we look at the next example, and then I'm going to leave you in like about 2 minutes or so, because this is where it gets tricky. So if we look here where we're at a cliff, so this is next one deals with Raul on a cliff. So here we go. Here's the cliff. And what's going to happen is this. So if we're at the top of the cliff, right, and we look down. So some of you are going to incorrectly say that this is the angle of depression here, x. That is wrong. If you're looking out straight ahead, so this is my horizontal, this green line. When you look down, this becomes the angle of depression outside of this triangle, let's say. Right? Because here you'll have a triangle, but the angle of depression is outside of it. So I'm going to exaggerate this. So if we look here, so here's my triangle. Outside of it is the angle of depression, but remember, since these horizontals are parallel and angles of elevation and depression are really just congruent alternate interior angles, the angle of depression becomes the angle of elevation. So now you can think of this as an angle of elevation question. So if this is 430 feet and the other one is 210 feet, we end up using tangent again. So really, the issue here is this, in identifying, where the angle is. So you may incorrectly label it outside of the triangle, but, incorrectly label it inside of the triangle. However, it's really supposed to be outside, but then at the same time, the angle of depression is the angle of elevation. So it helps to draw this out. It helps to show that the horizontals are parallel to each other. And if you exaggerate a transversal here, which I'll draw in black, then you can see that you have the alternate interior angles that you're working with. All right, let's see what's going on here. Okay, so any questions? Any questions right now? Before we wrap up today. So again, some announcements. The final exam is going to be that first week of June. I put a tentative date of June 2nd. Again, I'm still awaiting more details from LaGuardia. They haven't really shared too much other than what I copied and pasted. The format of the exam, it seems like it's going to be all short answer, but the amount of work that you show for the first 10 may not be full amounts of work, if that makes sense. Again, I legit copy and pasted whatever I was sent, and you're reading that, whatever was given to me. So I'm trying to make sense of it too. And again, I have to meet with LaGuardia just to get clarifying or some clarity on what they really mean by all of that. So my interpretation is this. You're going to be given an exam. It's basically all short response. The first 10 require less work. The last 5 require all work. So once I get that all sorted out, I'll definitely be in contact with you. Let's see. Any other questions? Any other questions before we wrap up today? And good morning, Mamadou. All right, so if we have no more questions, I will post the homework. So stay tuned for that. So just to give you a heads up, for Monday, I'll have some instructions as to how the class is going to run, but it's going to be another review style class. So I'll assign select questions from that handout or from that packet. Is the exam time? Valentina, good question. I believe it is. I believe it is. I think you're going to be given 2 hours for the exam. So again, more details are coming. I'll edit that portion in the stream, so that this way you have all the relevant information that you will need. But I believe the exam will be timed. And whatever time they give it, I don't have any control over that. So some of you, had issues with the time in the last exam. So that cannot be the case here, because this is all going to be done through Lumen Learning. This is their system. So if you miss the exam, I can't help. It's out of my hands. So I just want you to be aware of that. So thank you for bringing that up, Valentina. The exam will be timed. If you don't show up, or if you show up late, I don't believe you'll be given any extra time. That's it. Like when the exam begins and when it ends, and then I believe the system will close. And Alarcon can't help you there. I'll try my best, but it's not going to happen. It's going to be basically the college saying this is when it is, and this is when you need to finish it. And if you don't finish it during that time, womp womp. I'm pretty sure that will be their response. But I'll give you more or all of the details once I learn more. So stay tuned for that. I'll give you more details also on the homework and the class layout of Monday. It's going to be essentially what it was, I believe, last Friday, where you take attendance. I'm going to give you a bunch of questions to answer, which is part of your review, and then that ends up being the homework. So just giving you a heads up with that. And then Tuesday, we'll have a class. I think Tuesday's class will go into Friday, and then we're done. And then we'll just review, and you'll be ready for your exam. And then we'll actually have a day off from school, right? Memorial Day's coming. There's no classes that day. I am excited, let me tell you. I am excited for the day off. I need it. I've been working every day, until 6 o'clock or longer sometimes. So on that note, if you have no other questions, I hope you have a great day. If you're taking an AP exam today, good luck. If you have an AP exam on Monday, good luck. All those taking AP exams, good luck. Study, study. It is no longer cloudy, which is great. The sun's out. Enjoy this day. Enjoy the weekend. And we will reconvene, kind of, on Monday. So I'll see you then.